Hey everyone, welcome to the DeFi Dojo. Excited to bring you another AMA, and we have our friends from the Embr Labs. Embr Labs, we have you have seen them around, I'm pretty sure, quite often. Benjamin, who is from the team over there, has been for quite some time in the DeFi Dojo here in our voice chats, and yeah, he has added a lot of value with his knowledge in our discussions that we have had. So I will pass it straight away without wasting any time to Benjamin. Benjamin, if you could give an kind of like a brief introduction about yourself and about the team behind the Embr Labs, please.
Of course, yeah. So my name is Ben Fletcher. Everyone knows me in this room probably because I come in every other day to listen to all your AMAs. And then once we finish the AMAs, people always ask me questions about Embr. Everyone's very intrigued on what we're building, and everyone keeps asking us when an Embr AMA. So hence why we are here today. We have a very solid team, around up to 20 people in total and growing. We've been around, literally our 2-year anniversary is the end of this month. We'll have a little celebration over in one of our socials, have a little space to celebrate that. And yeah, the reason why we're here today is very soon we're about to release a utility. But before I talk about that utility that's about to be released, that's going to be a huge game changer, I'm just going to, for the first time ever, I normally just go straight into it, but I'm actually going to take you on a journey of where we came from and what we are today, and how it came about and so forth. So around about 2 years ago, literally the day Bitcoin hit the all-time high over on Thanksgiving on 2021, we launched our token on BSC. And we were literally wanting to create something that was going to change cryptocurrency, change the game. And everyone out there is building NFTs, or they're doing swaps, or they're doing metaverses. And we wanted to create something that was so impactful in the crypto space that it would put our token above the rest. And I know you probably get a lot of projects in here that talk about their utility and what they're building. It does sound great. But we had to build something even better. And again, that everyone will have to use, a bit like now everyone uses Facebook, everyone uses WhatsApp, everyone uses Instagram. We needed to build a platform where everyone in crypto and further out of crypto will use a platform. So we sat down and discussed what we're going to build and how we're going to build it. And we started off, okay, what can change the game? And there are a number of things in cryptocurrency, and we all can agree that the crypto space is very fragmented and broken. There's a lot of steps, there's a lot of hurdles just to even buy a DeFi token. We are a DeFi token on the BSC network, and the only way to buy our token is to get money into the crypto game on the BSC network. And then once you are there, you go over to a DEX like a pancake swap, and you can only swap your asset from tokens on BSC to our token. And once you're in, but all the people who can't get in, it's a struggle. All the people out there who are brand new to crypto, especially we've got a brand new bull run coming hopefully next year. We're going to have billions and billions and billions of dollars coming into crypto hopefully next year through that bull run. And these newcomers are going to really struggle to get into the space because they have to watch their 2 hours of YouTube videos or get someone to hold their hand and do all those nasty steps just to buy a token. So we started off, and I just do a little screen share here of our website. We started off with a checkout V2 to start with. Checkout V1. Checkout V1 was a launcher button that was here in the corner of your screen. This is the checkout V2, by the way. And checkout V1 was just literally a basic swap. Nothing special, nothing great. But our plan was, would projects like to have a swap on their website? Again, nothing special. It's just a swap. It is what it is. So once we reached out to projects, we realized quite quickly that, again, a lot of people send their customers away to DEXs. So you go onto a Telegram, let's say Embr Telegram for argument's sake, and people say, how do I buy the token? And we send them off to a DEX. And we say to them, you must have BNB in your wallet. That's the first red flag. and you have to go over to this DEX. Goodbye, good luck, hope you buy. You know, there's no hand-holding, especially if you're new to cryptocurrency. With a DEX, as you all know, I'm going to put up PancakeSwap, for instance. A lot of times they ask you for a contact address, especially where I've got Floki here. If I just click on PancakeSwap, a lot of the time when you click on PancakeSwap, as you can see in a minute, it will then pop up with a warning sign that's quite dodgy, doesn't look good. It says, do you want to buy Floki, for instance? And it comes up with medium risk, high risk, low risk, and it can scare that individual. But we created something that can actually be on people's websites and people can actually buy on the website. Then what we did is we launched, I think it was in March this year or last year, checkout V2. Now checkout V2 was an upgrade. It was a swap with then extra feature of buy with a debit card. Now, again, this is a two-step process. So you can buy at this moment in time, you can buy BNB with a debit card. And then once the BNB lands in your wallet, it takes anything up to 8 to 10 minutes. You can then go over to this checkout and buy your Embr with the BNB that's in your wallet. But guys, this is still not good enough. This is still very basic stuff, especially with on-rampers, with swaps and so forth. The only thing that's going to change cryptocurrency that we believe is instant payments. And now when we say instant payments, I'm not talking about, you know, fast tracking payments. We're talking about real-time payments. Now, what real-time payments is, I want to be able to go onto a checkout, click on my token I want to buy, and buy it in real time. Literally, put in my credit card details, press buy, few seconds later, tokens in the wallet. That fast. You think of all your time in cryptocurrency when you have to go on to, example, an exchange, and you then have to get KYC'd on an exchange. You then have to buy your BNB. You then have to send that BNB over to a trust wallet. You then have to, for instance, go onto then Smart Chain. Then you have to go onto PancakeSwap or, you know, Uniswap, wherever what DEX you're buying on, and then find a contact address, find the slippage. These are all the hurdles that you have to take to buy anything, and you can't buy it seamlessly within a few seconds. That instant real-time drive that we have in the real world. You know, when you go into a grocery store, you tap your credit card, 2-3 seconds later, transaction's done, take your groceries and get out the shop. We don't have that in crypto, still to this date. That is the biggest problem in cryptocurrency. Imagine a world where you can go to any project on any website and you can buy their token instantly. Now, again, we have taken this checkout and we're on literally all the bigger players. I've picked 2 tokens that were in your AMAs on the other day. So we've got Dollar Squeeze, who were in your AMA the other day. We've got Alvery Chain that are doing an AMA tomorrow. They've also got a checkout. Literally, we've got ridiculous amount of projects taking the V2 checkout. FEG, if you guys remember FEG, they were $1 billion token in the last bull run. Volt Inu, Grove, you name it, they're all taking the checkout. But the reason why they're taking our checkout is not because of V2, it's because of V3. You'll be able to go here, buy with credit card, type in your credit card details, and buy directly. It goes even further than this, okay? So what we end up doing is once we've done this and we've got the V3 coming up for checkout, we then decided, hey-ho, literally there's a number of on-rampers out there that provide on-ramping, especially in Trust Wallet, MetaMask, exchanges, and just in general in cryptocurrency. So I'm going to bring up on-ramper. Now, everyone's heard of MoonPay, Simplex, Banza, Vert, Transact, all the big players in the space that do on-ramping. So our mission was a bit like this. We would then go to all these on-ramps that are literally out there that everyone's heard of. We will have meetings with this on-ramp, and then we will tell them or promote our Matter One protocol, that's what it's called, to these on-ramps so they can buy, or a customer can go onto that on-ramp and buy any asset. Now, I'm just going to go over to MoonPay at the moment. So MoonPay, as an example, you can buy via MoonPay on Trust Wallet, MetaMask to buy your native tokens or native coins. These are the ones they support. There's about 20 in total: Ethereum, Link, USDC, AVAX, or known as Polygon, Solana, DOT, and so forth. They only support 20 assets. If they take our API of the Matter One protocol, they will be able to support thousands and thousands and thousands of tokens in DeFi with a flick of a switch. That simple in itself. So you can go onto, these wallets. You can go onto the website, buy them directly, and it will just open up a brand new market. The way I like to explain on-ramping, especially with 20 assets here, is remember the days, especially in the UK, where we had a situation when we first were growing up, especially me, you only had channels 1 to 4. That's all you had, 1 to 4. And that's like this. You've only got literally 20 channels here to buy from. Now, there is Sky, there is Netflix, there is Amazon, and you've got thousands and thousands of options to pick from on your TV. The world won't stop for 4 channels. It needed to grow and mass adopt. So at this moment in time, we've been speaking to all the leading on-rampers, literally every single one, to take on our Matter One, take on our API plugin to allow layer 2 tokens to be bought on their network. And may I repeat this again, in real time. So you'll be able to buy a token in seconds, like literally a few seconds. Again, so all these on-ramps we've been speaking to, I know our communities in this chat, and I know they want me to name the on-ramps that are going ahead. In the next month or so, we've been going through a beta phase, and literally with the beta phase, we have a number of on-ramps taking on the beta. They will give us feedback on the beta to give us all the information we need to make sure it's absolutely perfect going all the way forward. And then it'll be released onto the open market. So pretty much all the money that will be coming into cryptocurrency will actually go through our API. Literally, how incredible is that? A token that has gone from 2 years up to now, these on-ramps will all go through the API. If an on-ramp decides they do not want to take the API for them, no problem. If we're taking 60, 70, 80% of the on-rampers and they're offering thousands and thousands and thousands of assets, and then the on-ramper that doesn't take, for whatever reason, our API and only offers 5 to 20, over time, no one will actually go to their platform, because what's the point? I can buy those 20 assets over at that on-ramp, and they also support thousands and thousands and thousands of tokens. So what's going to end up happening in 2024 is everyone's going to be buying layer 2 tokens within those seconds buys. It's absolutely beyond incredible. Now, with that, the on-ramps will get a dashboard where they can actually choose what assets they want to take on. They'll have access to all thousands, and literally within one click, one swipe, they can delist or list an item. So they can choose if they want to not take a token that has under 100,000 market cap or very low volume or whatever. They can actually pick and choose. Every token that will go onto the dashboard will go through our clearance protocol. Dan, if you want to go through that a little bit, that'd be great. Sorry, I've been talking a little while. I'll let you join in now, if that's all right. If you want to talk about the clearance protocol, and then I'll carry on with the rest.
Maybe, I'm not sure if Dan is still here.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was talking and I was muted. All right, so let me back up a little bit. So the Matter One protocol and the API that it's built on top of, we're just for now calling it the Embr Payment API, is a payment system. And payment systems they always incorporate something called a clearing system, clearing protocol, or basically it's a system that allows people to transact in a way where they know that there's some sort of safety going on in the background. In our case, the clearance protocol or clearing protocol for the Matter One system is predicated on the idea that there are a lot of things we can do to check assets before they're made available on the API. So the clearing protocol is, I believe it's a 16-point check that basically grades an asset. And let's say someone requests an asset to be cleared so that they can, access it through the API. It would go through this check, it would be graded, and depending on, various different automated checks, it will be either listed or it won't be made available because of safety reasons. And it's important to mention, I don't want to get too far ahead here, but the clearance protocol is actually tied in with the governance for the Embr token, which I don't want to bring up quite yet, but there's a whole little aspect we can go into later. So the clearing protocol makes us very unique because it does actually provide a little extra layer of protection. So someone can't just create a smart contract token in an hour and then modify it and then try to screw over a whole bunch of people by making it available through our API. Our system will do periodic checks and checks on any asset that gets listed or gets requested to be listed. And then that way, it'll weed out the, kind of the bad actors and the, assets that could potentially be considered scams or whatever you want to call them. So that's what the clearing protocol is. It's a kind of a key differentiator to what we're doing, and it's very exciting. It's something that really does help bridge the gap of sort of a slightly more TradFi philosophy while keeping it trust minimized. So
can you touch a bit on how do you filter kind of like the bad actors, the bad projects, and do you have like an audit system, like if you can touch a bit on that, because it comes back to what Benjamin was saying. Even with the on the ramp companies out there, it will be hard for them to go one by one if you have like 1,000, 2,000 projects to list. So they need to make sure from your side, like, that these are, secure, these are safe, because people who will buy straight away, but they might not even have knowledge of crypto, like, especially of scammy function, for example, or fraudulent, etc. So how do you make sure that the project that it's being listed and are using it's using your tools, it's not going to rug? I mean, if it fails as a project, it's complete kind of like different thing, but that it will not scam or rug.
Yeah, so we can't say, hey, this won't rug or whatever. That's a human factor that cannot be measured ahead of time. However, there is a 16-point check that will, on a technical level, identify clear red flags, sort of orange flags, if you will, and give a grade, a numerical grade to these tokens, and then a certain threshold, they just become not available. And these different flags have different values. So let's say this is just I'm not 100%. I don't have all the values in front of me here. But as like for instance, let's say someone has unlocked liquidity, that will probably be like a low level red flag, and then tied in with, let's say, the ability to mint tokens, the ability to blacklist people, whatever the case may be. It creates a numerical value for the overall safety of this token through various different APIs that we're able to sort of link together to do a couple of different checks. And also we do a lot of on-chain, we use a lot of on-chain data as well. So certain things are just, there. That's the beauty of blockchain. You can see a token that has $10 of volume in the week. That alone would probably be a red flag. So a lot between the available on-chain information and proper on-chain analysis with a couple of security APIs. I don't want to say the name because, I'm not 100% sure if I'm supposed to be right now. So generally speaking, a lot of you guys have probably engaged with some of the tools whose APIs we'll be using to help clear these assets in real time. And that will then, all of this combined will make it so, someone who uses the Embr API can have a certain degree of confidence that the assets themselves are technically safe. Again, there's no real way to vet, like in a real time manner, whether someone's going to rug pull. But at the end of the day, uh, it's it's not really something we're building payments, right? And this is specifically in the ramp industry, right? So someone who wants to, on ramp like a brand new token that was just created 2-3 hours ago, which like I'm pretty sure 99.99% of the time is not going to happen. Uh, it won't really, these ramps will do their own research, and if there's like a big red flag for, let's say, someone's undoxed or whatever the case may be, like a dev team has a bad history on chain or whatever the case may be, there's not really much we can do on the personal side, but on a technical level, we can look at the smart contract and say, yeah, this is okay to be used in our Embr API. This is all automated. There are I think it's a 16-point check. So there are a lot of different factors that are taken into consideration. I think I heard Jason, was I?
Yeah, Jason has been unmuted. So, hey, Jason.
Hey, if you don't mind, I can add a few things to this, Dan.
Yeah, go for it.
I think a good analogy, and to keep it short, ultimately this API is a service for third-party vendors. So our goal here, in the sea of choices, to make the process very light and simple for them to add assets to their various different products. If it's an on-ramp, then it is. But ultimately, we have this angle where we're more about quality versus quantity. So I'll give you an example with Peachy, the trading hub that we're building, which is a B2C approach. Some would argue it's sort of a direct competitor to something like Matcha. Matcha's angle is really about making millions of assets available, but you as a consumer, it basically puts the pressure on you to do your own research. And we're quite familiar with the terminology, but the way we see things, it's as if Matcha or Peachy are like grocery stores. And you go on that, in that grocery, and basically the guy that welcomes you, he's like, well, we have all these beautiful products, but it's really up to you to figure out if they're good or not, so it's, we believe that this approach, even though it's been good enough for a while, it's not scalable. The idea that the consumer has to do his own research. Any decent industry is sort of governed and also has some form of minimal standard with regards to health and safety or et cetera. But to go back to the whole like rugging thing, I think what matters with our clearing protocol is, and I'm not going to dive too much into the technicalities of some of the features of it, but one of them is really interesting. Is if your community is familiar with something that's called click wrap or not, but these are essentially enforceable agreements that are created from endpoints in an API. So giving you an example is a good parallel is I go in this grocery that tells me that the foods, the food and the meats are healthy for me right now. But if I buy chicken and I decide not to eat it for 5 days and it goes bad, and then I eat it, I can't go back to the grocery and say, you know what, I ate this food, it's not good for me. I got sick and everything. So the concept of the clearing protocol is that it will basically make trades that have been executed on chain at the moment that they were executed, you know, the click wrap agreement will accompany it with details on the sort of state of that asset at the moment that you purchased it. But ultimately, once you've acquired it, you know, if 2-3 weeks later or a month later something bad happens, then really it's up to you. You know, you purchase the asset, and it's really up to you to do stuff after, to get informed and etc. But as a payment system, I think our role and responsibility is within the scope of when you are transacting. Is this asset, you know, safe or not? With these points and parameters, I mean, no need to dive into each of them, but yeah.
I see. I mean, yeah, and why I actually brought up this question? It's more about like, you know, with the Web2 payment system, for example, they will protect you though if you buy something from a scam website. For like, you know, let's take for example PayPal. You know, you can kind of like chase and dispute that payment. For example, if you get scammed, you know, from the end, from the other side, right? But more about when it comes to Web3 now, and with the tools that you have, it's in why kind of like avoiding these scams, rugs, as much as you can. I know in the end of the day we cannot predict everything. We have seen some really big names out there who kind of like no one could imagine that they could drag and scam and run away. But it's more about the brand, the name of you know, Embr, because you know, if you have 1, 2, 3, 4 instances of kind of like people buying because it was there available, and I know it comes down to research, etc. But it's easy for people to point their finger to Embr, like, you know, why did you guys list it? Why did you guys have it there in a way? So it's more about like protecting yourselves rather than the end user, because it comes down to the research no matter what.
Yeah, for sure. And also the other angle is this clearings protocol will have sort of a front-facing interface, meaning that people will be able to, just like when you deal with like a plumber or an electrician and you want to see if they have their trade cards, you go on this website, you type in their name and you see, oh, okay, their trade card is valid. So, I mean, you know, they're a decent service provider. So it's going to be the same thing for the payments API. You'll be able to go on a place of our website and figure out, type in the asset, and then you'll be able to see historically, because since it's a periodic sort of scheduled check, you'll be able to see the history of the checks. Plus also, we this is something that even the team doesn't know, but we're going to have a sort of flow for projects to basically go through a KYB themselves, so they can make their asset in the payment system stand out, and make, again, the you know, the third parties that are leveraging the payments API feel more confident in this project, so that the, you know, the ramps or whoever is leveraging our API don't have to do the KYB. So these are going to be, think of it sort of the, you know, X, you know, form, which was Twitter before. Think of it as, you know, the ones that have been KYB'd would be, you know, featured at the top, and the one that haven't will be sort of behind a little bit in terms of being featured and findable in the UI that you see here. So again, yeah, so all this to make and abstracting everything a little lower in the layers. So whenever you're interacting with an app, you know that you know, the underlying layers have been doing the job on your behalf.
Right on. No, I mean, it makes sense. Again, in the end of the day, when it comes to security, like of the assets, no one can guarantee. And we have seen even the CEXs, which are supposed to do some due diligence over there. They have been delisting from they have been delisting many tokens out there for doing shady stuff. So we cannot predict that. But yeah, I hope kind of like, the 60 points that you have in place can at least, reduce the risks of having bad players on board. Now,
bringing to your point, Aaron, about sexes. So I'm just going to go about exchanges and stuff. So I'm just going to go to the next part of what we're going to be doing and stuff like that. So before I go into that, I want to just use Floki as a great example. Floki is 150 plus million market cap token. It's absolutely colossal. Everyone knows what Floki is. When you go onto their website, it's really hard to buy. This is our point, okay? This is the whole point of what we're doing. So you click on buy on Floki and it takes you over to this page. Now it gives you a number of places to go and buy Floki. And of course, if you are a DeFi token and you've got liquidity on BSC, Uniswap, you've already deployed your liquidity there. You don't want to move it around, and you don't want to be paying an absolute arm and a leg to be listed on exchanges. And also you then got to provide them liquidity as well when you've already got liquidity on your DEX. So again, when I go over here, I've got a choice. I can go onto Binance, get KYC'd on Binance and go through that flow. That's fine. But 99% of the DeFi tokens out there aren't on exchanges. And again, it's a very costly thing to do. But again, what else is out there on their thing? They have literally exchanges after exchange after exchange. Fine, great. But there is no credit card straight to token in wallet. And also, if I want to buy it, I want to buy it in real time. And the only place I really got is like, say, a pancake swap, where it goes over it. Now, there are loads of arguments to this, okay? So imagine if they had a checkout on their website, on their homepage, that literally you click buy with credit card, you type in your credit card deals. If you don't have a wallet, it will also download your wallet and make you a wallet in the flow. Say your grandma, your uncle, your brother has no experience in crypto. It will do everything for you in the flow. And then you get your tokens in your wallet in real time. Again, we were talking, I'll probably get shot in the face for this. Okay, we were talking about the on-rampers and stuff like that. Imagine in a world where you can go to a DEX, and here on a DEX, PancakeSwap, probably one of the biggest DEXs are out there. Imagine if right here on the right-hand side, just right here, there was buy with card, and it's instant. The amount of volume that would go through that button will be insane, because you'll get all the new people coming in from out of crypto, or people who are in crypto who want to buy into a pre-sale or want to buy a new token that's launched, or just buy an existing token, and they're ready to invest more money, but they've run out of BNB, or run out of ETH, run out of Polygon. They can just buy it straight from a DEX, straight from an on-ramper, or directly on the project's website. At the moment, as I explained many times, the flow is all broken. How to buy a token fast is the easiest way is that project to get listed on an exchange, and we all know about exchanges and the problems they're having at the moment, and DeFi everyone's talking about is the future. So if that's the future, the real-time payments have to be the future. When you go onto any on-ramp, any of these ones here, it takes around about 8 minutes to a day for your native coin, so the BNB, the ETH, to land in your wallet. You then have to then go over to a pancake swap. And it's just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. You know, if I go on to Amazon, I click on an item, I want to press buy, and within 3, 4, 5 seconds, it's on order, it's done. That's how we live in the real world. When I go to eBay and I press buy, it buys it. No messing around. Crypto has to change. Now, the only way to do that is to get as many projects on board, get the on-rampers on board, and get every single platform that money goes through on board. And that's what we have achieved. We have literally had meetings with all the giants in the space. This is not a case of we're building something and we've gone, turned around and went, you know what, if anyone wants our tech, take it. Great, fantastic. No. We've gone further than that. We have spoken to all the big players, all the on-ramps. We have spoken to the Dexes of the world. We have spoken to other players in the world. What can be done payment-wise? They are all ridiculously crazy interested in the tech. A huge handful of on-rampers are taking the beta testing for this. And then a lot of the on-rampers have turned around and said, once the beta testing is finished and it's out in the wild and it has 1, 2 months, 3 months of history and it's all seamless and it's perfect, we want it. So even though at this moment in time, we probably got around about 6 on-rampers who are taking the beta, there is probably another 10 to 15 waiting for it by sort of March, April time, will then jump on board. So literally over the next 6 months, all the money that will be coming into crypto, or most of the money coming into crypto, will go through these on-ramps and they'll all go through our API. That is exciting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, are there any limits, and do they have, and if so, what are the limits of max amounts or minimum amounts that they can buy with the credit card? And also, do they have to do KYC at a certain amount of purchase?
Can I answer this one?
Go for it.
Yeah, so the way that the API works, in the case of this ramping product, the ramp themselves, so like the MoonPay, the whatever, they have to process the KYC. You'll abide by their limitations. So let's say like I don't actually know MoonPay's rules, and I'm just using MoonPay because we've already been using them today. So let's say, like, for instance, they have like a $500 limit. They might have no limit, like you just have, like a strict limit where you just have to KYC flat out. That is all going to be dependent on the ramp. The API literally just plugs into their stack and just like turns it Super Saiyan. So all the like payment processing of credit cards, all the receipts, all the KYC compliance, the licenses required, for the most part, are all handled by the ramp that basically plugs the technology in. So in that case, there's no one answer because it will depend on what ramp you're using.
Yeah, indeed. And now, in terms of the fees, are you guys kind of like using your API? Do you plan to get any deals? Because as far as I remember, it's been a while since the last time I used MoonPay. It had quite high fees, I would say. So does anything change over there, or it will remain the same, whatever they will quote?
So in this case, we actually take a fee. I'm not, at this point, I'm not really 100% certain how that will work in terms of the end user, what they'll end up paying compared to right now. But Matter One, built into the system, takes a 1.5% fee. And, again, when you're talking about the convenience, most people would happily pay an extra $1.50 for $100 of asset, if that means they don't have to spend like an hour or two figuring out how to do what they're trying to do. But the fee is, there is going to be a fee to use Matter One, especially in the on-ramp product, because of there are definitely some potential variabilities in there. I don't want to speak too heavily on, if like potential enterprise discounts for like millions of volume. I see Jason has unmuted, so he might be able to take it from there.
I'm going to talk, but I'll let Jason talk. It's fine.
Just want to say, so to understand the fee, we need to basically go into how do ramps source the assets that they support. So the current model, and it might astonish a lot of people here, but Ben, if you go on Zero Hash, the website, instead of sharing the MoonPay page here, if you go on Zero Hash is essentially a custodial liquidity provider. Not only do they provide assets, but they do also provide the infrastructure from a compliance and regulatory perspective. And funny enough, if you scroll down a little bit, most people don't know this, but Ramp, Transact, MoonPay, basically every single leading ramp out there, Stripe, are running on zero hash, basically, stack, from token supply to regulatory compliance, etc. This is the back end to pretty much all the ramps you've been, interacting with from a consumer perspective. So with this in mind, this type of relationship, this has dictated what we can buy and what we cannot buy. MoonPay is not the one that decides. I mean, now they've adapted, but generally speaking, an on-ramp doesn't decide which asset they support or not. It's really dependent on their liquidity provider, the centralized exchange, the OTC, the market maker, whoever they're working with. Do they support this asset? So with that in mind, then you have to look at what makes sense for this liquidity provider in terms of asset listing. So, for them, is it worth listing your token? Does it have enough trading volume, all of those things? So generally speaking, most assets, let's say an Embr token, or let's say, dollar squeeze, whichever assets that are not like massive tokens, for these liquidity providers to support them, they will charge ramps quite a hefty amount. Generally speaking, you're looking at 1.5 to 4%. So it's very expensive. So who do you think gets to pay for that? So it gets basically offloaded to the ramp, and then the ramp, like, they need to offload it to someone. So this is why on-ramping has been so expensive. It's because the current business model is not a win-win-win model. Now, abstract the fact that, let's say, most ramp now will be able to get their assets directly on chain at a much, much cheaper rate, then the on-ramping cost will be much cheaper. So on-ramping is not going to be 4 or 5%. It's going to go basically almost to nil, because the cost of basically listing an asset is free now. By going through our API, there's no cost. They can list it. It's like, I could go on for a long time on this, but it's really shifting the power dynamics. If you think about the way a ramp used to do business before, if a token project would approach them, they had to say no. They cannot list them. Let's say if they did, then they would have to basically go through a lot of paperwork. Token project would need to split their liquidity, would need to send maybe $50,000 worth of their token, maybe $100,000 worth of their token. They'd be effectively locked in with this ramp. They couldn't get their asset, on ramp by another on ramp. They basically, sign an exclusivity deal, or they go on the infinite road of splitting their liquidity and paying forever. But now, ramps can effectively discover tokens in the dashboard, and if there's a new asset that's popping, they can instantly decide to list it. Now this asset appears in their front-end UI to purchase, and they can immediately tell the marketing team, hey, we have this new asset, go buy it. So they can go within a few hours from discovery to generating revenue from this new asset that just popped up on secondary market, rather than before that was fantasy. That was just not even something they could fathom. It's not even something it's not even possible. And so this is the type of sort of world we're enabling. We're enabling a world where, ramps have much less overhead costs. They can list, any asset on secondary market in real time and make them available in their products on demand. It's a self-serve product. So it will shift the power dynamics greatly. And as been mentioned, The ramps that are not basically adapting to this new power dynamic will be left behind, because pretty much every single ramps will tell you that their top 5 assets that they sell, they're basically gas. And the reason why people buy gas is because they have to. That's the only way they can buy the assets that they actually want to buy. Nobody wants to buy Matic. Nobody wants to buy BNB. Nobody wants to buy Phantom, or let alone AVAX. And the reason why people have to buy them and use ramps, it's because that's the only way to DeFi. But in a world where ramps can list any asset, like, who's going to buy gas? Nobody's going to buy gas. So if you're a ramp that doesn't enable the purchase of secondary market asset in real time in one transaction, nobody's going to go and see you. That's it.
Yeah, and when it comes down to the fees, we don't kind of like realize it, but we will send the payment to our CX, might be Binance, might be Coinbase or whatever, and then from there to our MetaMask, Trustwallet, etc., which we are already kind of like doing two transactions over there before we end up buying, which will be the third kind of like transaction. So all these transactions do have fees, and depending on the chain, it might be higher or lower. So in the end of the day, I've not done, of course, any breakdown, but it's pretty much similar. Kind of like, it maybe actually looks higher with MoonPay or with any other on-ramp, because we see the whole fee in one go. But when we are doing 3 different kind of like separate steps, we don't kind of like realize it.
But we are. But I think what you're mentioning, and I think the important angle here as well is we're cutting out this service cuts out all of the middlemen, all of them. If you think, crypto from a centralized perspective is the same thing as, food supply or merchandise supply. There's the one that creates the product and that fabricates it and then sends it to sort of a distributor, and then a supplier, and then retail. But every single step of the way, someone takes money out of the transaction. And it's the same thing. Zero Hash, they get their assets from a market maker. And, so the market maker makes a cut when they sell it to Zero Hash in bulk. And then Zero Hash sells it to as a distributor, Zero Hash, they sell these assets to MoonPay at a rate. So MoonPay is the supplier, and then they sell it to retail. So basically, you as the retail customer have to pay all of these steps, rather than if MoonPay or any other ramp lists directly on secondary market, it skips all of those middlemen. Like, there's no people in between.
I agree. No, and this is how kind of like the modern, not the modern, even in the past, this is how the world works. It has to be, even with our products, like, our food, groceries, all that stuff, that's why they are expensive, because they are going through 3, 4, 5 different kind of like people, through companies, right? And everyone will add their own fee on top of it. And we end up kind of like paying that big chunk of money to get. And this is how the prices go up and up and up, because everyone has to to take their own kind of like piece of that cake. Rai is asking, do you plan on adding the same features to off-ramp? Any plans there?
Yeah, so what I'll do, Aaron, I'll carry on going through all the features that are coming and what we're doing, how we're building, and then those questions will be answered pretty much at the end. And I should have squashed 90% of the answers that are probably in your chat and what we get as well.
Sounds good.
So again, that's the on-ramp. So again, we're in beta testing. I'll just recap a little bit. So we're in beta testing going forward now with a number of on-ramps. Once it comes out of beta testing this year, fingers crossed, 2024 will be a completely different world of how you buy layer 2 assets. You'll be just buying on websites directly to the token, no messing around. As we talk about fees, again, the 1.5%, that's the highest fee for the hardest transaction. It will go down depending on volume, how easy the transaction is, and we're in talks with the on-ramps about our fees and stuff like that, and they've all accepted the fees. To make sure the end user gets it at the bottom rates. But anyway, moving forward, all the next products that are coming out as well, because this is why we're here as well. As much as this is a game changer and a massive platform for the future, there's more stuff coming out. So moving forward, we have a number of more use cases of off-ramping as well. Obviously, we're dealing with the on-rampers. They do off-ramps as well. So again, it'll be the same thing where you can go onto a checkout eventually, and you can off-ramp any asset straight back. We have other platforms, what we call any-to-any. I know you had a project yesterday, but I'll just ignore that one. But it's a case that any-to-any will be any token on any platform, and it can be EVM, and we can also cater for non-EVM as well. Literally, it means any-to-any, and it'll be a one-click on those checkouts where you can buy, or you can go onto Peachy and do it, and it will be done in real time, literally seconds, like 1, 2, 3, boom, token swapped. No bridging involved. No burning, no adding our token into the platform, so there's no hacking involved or anything like that. It's completely solid as a rock. And then the one thing I do want to talk about as well is, how does Embr make a noise in the crypto space as much, because the API for the on-ramp is all in the background, right? No one actually sees our API when you buy on these on-ramps. You're not actually going to see the API. It's just going to buy the asset. Embr's not going to be anywhere. So the argument is, where does Embr token come in? I'm going to go for that in a bit later. So with this API, we can plug it into anything. So we can plug it into, example, a credit card system. So a credit card system, you've probably seen a few out there. Especially Floki's a great one. They do one. If I click on Floki, they do their own credit card, and also Vault Inu. They do their own credit card called Vault Card, where you can literally sell your Vault Inu to your custodial wallets for Vault Inu, and then you can go into any shop, and as long as it supports Visa or MasterCard, you can buy your groceries, or go to Tesco's, or go to Walmart, and just anything that supports Visa or MasterCard. But that sounds great, but you have to have Vault Inu. And the only other problem with that as well is you have to put X amount in every single time, and you might have to put a minimum of $100 in. But you only want to spend $5, $10, $20, and you don't want to put the whole thing in. And as I said before, the only other problem you've got is, as well, you have to have Vault Inu. Imagine a card where you can pick any token in your wallet that you've got money on, select the token you want to get, $50, $5 of that token, and you can go into any shop. This is what we call payments, proper payments, using crypto to actually go into the real world and start buying stuff. The whole point of cryptocurrency, in my opinion, was to get rid of the banking system. The people didn't want to go through the banking and everything like that. Some people can't get bank accounts, so they put their money into the crypto world, and but you can't really use crypto that well. It's still fragmented. Yes, you can use these cards with USDC, but you have to have USDC, or you've got to have Bitcoin, you've got to have Ethereum. But imagine a card where you can literally cater for every single token. That is a card I would want to have, where I can go into any shop and just buy with any asset that's in my wallet. And it takes, again, in real time. You put your card, and it doesn't have to be a hard card. It can be literally like your Apple wallet, Google Wallet, anything like that. It could be a digital card on your phone where you tap your phone and the asset comes out in real time. You take your groceries, you leave the shop. Your crypto's come out, it's been paid for, it is done. That is a card. Now, moving on from that, so that is one huge aspect. So we can get an Embr card, and that'll be fantastic for marketing for Embr point of view. The other thing we've got is something called e-commerce. Again, we've got to start thinking bigger than the crypto world, okay? As much as any to any is great, where you can swap anything from anything, and that again is another game changer. Fiat all the way to crypto in seconds is incredible. Again, another game changer. Off-ramping in seconds from any token to off-ramping is incredible. Again, another game changer. It's literally the perfect platform. But imagine, again, someone like an Amazon wants to accept cryptocurrency. Okay, a lot of these platforms, some platforms that accept crypto, they only accept Bitcoin. They only accept Ethereum. They only accept a certain amount of natives, but nobody supports everything. Everything. Where I could turn up to, example, if Amazon want to be settled in USDC, if they want to be settled in Baby Dodge, if they want to be, they can choose what they want to have in their wallet. And me as the customer, I can choose any asset in my wallet and it will pay for that item on that website, and they will settle in real time the end user whatever they want. And I give you another great example, an NFT collection. I can go on to OpenSea and just say there's an NFT collection on Polygon. I can turn up with Ben token on BSC and buy that asset. Just buy it instantly. I can turn up with the wrong token. This is the problem with all this stuff like NFTs and stuff. You have to turn up with the right native coin. If you don't have it, you can't buy it. Where now our API, you plug it in and it will work. Well, this is in 2024. This is what's coming. So literally what Embr Labs has built is this perfect money coming in, money coming out, money going around crypto, and also real world payment system that you can buy any asset in the real world with a debit card, your credit card, and also things like NFTs or a website. If I've got a clothing website and I want to sell my clothes, I accept obviously Visa and MasterCard on my checkout on my website. I can now accept any token I want. That's an incredible, incredible vision that would completely change cryptocurrency. We've got to start not buying crypto and holding hope for a little pump and a dump, and we've got to start using crypto as actual real world payments now. And this is the tech that will push that. And then with the on-rampers that we've got and the partners we've got, I'm just going to go over to this company here. Again, nobody in my team actually knows this, but I'm going to use Food Panda as a great example. These are the second biggest merchants for food delivery in Southeast Asia. My very, very good friend, Stephen, he actually owns this company. And again, you can buy, we have in the UK, we have a company called Deliveroo. Some people in Southeast Asia have a company called Grab. And with these companies, again, you buy with your credit card, your debit card. These companies can now accept soon any token on any network. In seconds, you can pay for your food, it'll be delivered, and you can pay with George token, Donkey Kong token, anything you want, and it'll be settled to whatever thing Food Panda want to receive. If they want to receive Bitcoin, they want to receive Ethereum, if they want to receive USDC as a stable, they can receive anything they want their end. And we're going to move into the world where cryptocurrency is going to turn into a payment structure. And that's what the end goal is, guys. Not just on-ramping coming in, not off-ramping, not any to any. You've got to think bigger. The bigger platform is the world. We've got to get crypto, that the 5% of the people in the world use crypto. We have to get crypto as 99% of the world is going to be used. So literally, it's going to be the future because it's so hard to buy into crypto. It's so hard in the UK to get money out of crypto. I don't know about you guys. It's hard to bridge assets if you don't know what you're doing. And also, all these e-commerce stores, NFT projects, you've got to turn up with the right token, the right coin. Or a lot of these don't accept crypto because it's just the system, the stripe of crypto is not built yet. And you can't just buy with any asset in real time. And if someone builds that, it's literally, that is the game changer when it comes to crypto payments.
Yeah, man, 100%. It's kind of like, getting that first wave, being the first mover in the space. And in the end of the day, it's about networking, being able to put your product in front of like many users, having that traffic. And as long as you will be able to hit like few big players out there, I think the rest will come itself them by themselves once they see what's being built and what are the tools, and if they are useful or not for them to use. But if something can be used by the mass when it comes to the on-ramps, off-ramps out there, I don't see why not, just getting your tool. It's a, API, for example, put it there and done. They can filter the project they want in. Yeah, as you said, maybe by market cap, 1 million market cap and higher, or, 1 million in liquidity, so it can be more safe in terms of transactions, buying and selling. So that's pretty good. Now, if you can, because we have a lot of people who have joined on later AMA, kind of like give us a summary of what Embr Labs has built in terms of what you guys have built. What are your tools and what are the benefits of each tool?
Yeah, and Dan, do you want to take this and talk about the token, why it's so important to buy the token with the governance?
I will come. I have a follow-up question. Basically, I want you to give a whole summary of all the tools, and then you will see how the token and why should someone be an investor of Embr.
Cool. I'll let Dan take this because I've been talking the last 10, 15 minutes. I like to share.
Not a problem. Change the pace. So at this point, we have a few products on the market. I guess if you call the token a product, we'll circle back to that later. We also have Embr Checkout. We have two versions of it. First one's basically sunsetted at this point. I don't think we have any active V1s at this point, or if we do, just like a couple. V2 is like our flagship product at the moment, which is basically a set of tools that project leaders can use to sell their token. The most popular option is called the Checkout Launcher, which is that cute little button that Ben was showing you guys earlier, where you just click it and it pops out that nice little interface. And right there, you can buy, what's the gas tokens, gas coins that you need, and then swap all on the same interface without sending people away. E-commerce 101. You want to keep people on your website. You want to keep them funneled. And sort of as an extension of Checkout V2, we have Peachy, which is basically if you took Checkout and put it into a place that operated a little bit more similarly to a DEX in the way that you can go there, search tokens, make your trades, etc., while still having access to the same technology that we're using on Checkout. You can get your gas coins there as well. Just kind of like that interface supplanted where you can sort of interact with it more as a retail trader rather than someone on someone's website. We call it like a kind of like a payments hub. It will become bigger and bigger over time. We have lots of plans for it. In terms of like primary products, those are kind of like our two products that are already out there. I highly suggest everyone take a look at Peachy. It's actually a really convenient platform. We also do support. I handle it myself, and there's a few other people that work with me. So if you ever have problems, we can usually get to you in a relatively good amount of time, and we can get you set up. And if you're interested, just go to peachy.xyz. That's Peachy with two E's, PEACHEE.xyz. And you can start trading right now. If you don't have gas tokens, you can load up from our friends at Unlimit Crypto. Those guys are awesome as well. But in terms of like products, that's the ones that we have on the market. But Matter One, for the most part, is already built out. We're not really talking about theoreticals. These are, the tech behind it. Jason can correct me if I'm wrong, but generally speaking, the tech itself isn't actually overly complicated in the way that, like, of course, the approach is very first principled. It's very unique, but on a base level, it's actually not all too crazy. And it's basically just awaiting the, what would you say, kind of the ability to plug it in, flesh it out, and apply it into sort of product offerings. Like our ramp, right? It's sort of like a product. You have the dashboard, you're able to permissionlessly list, as a ramp or a service provider, that's a product for them. So basically, when we take this technology and then create a product with it, we can release that product. The Matter One protocol is a backend technology. For those who might know, kind of like the Web 2 payment interfaces, it's sort of like a RTGS or like an ACH system. So people don't actually interact with it. It requires people to build interfaces, DApps, marketplaces, ramps, whatever on top of them, or just for them to plug the API into their existing product and supercharge it with Embr's magic. But so the tech is there, it's built. It's sort of a matter of that pun, sorry, of actually getting it put into a product version and encouraging developers to build with this, which we do encourage. If anyone here is interested in, is like a part of a project of some sort, or knows someone at a company that might be able to leverage this, by all means, you can slide into our DMs and, we are still a relatively small company here. So, we do have limitations to how many different, things we can have going on at once. But at a given point, we encourage developers to consider using Embr because it'll make your products better and stand out in the crowded market.
Awesome. And Dan, since we are on this topic, there is a relevant question from CH100X. They are our friends from Crypto Hunters. So, at what point of the Embr roadmap timeframe will there be an option for us, the non-token, where we can accept crypto as a payment on a monthly subscription style basis?
I'm actually glad you asked this question. I think there's a limit to how much I can say now, but as a sort of a preamble, I'm sure Jason will probably jump in at a certain point, that's actually something we're interested in. It's kind of like the ability to support like crypto subscriptions. And, it's not too crazy either with our technology to kind of plug it into an existing system or build something with the Embr API to do just that. So I don't know, Jason, if you have anything to add about like sort of like a using Matter as like a subscription payments kind of platform.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that we highly value, not only for ourselves, but for others. And the only thing I can say is it's going to work like magic. It's going to do things that, intuitively it should be doing. But if you look at the current sort of landscape right now, there's just nothing out there right now. And it's something of high priority for sure. But the way we want to do it is going to be a little bit different. But all this to say is the underlying protocol, the way it's being built, is to accommodate and to support all of these various use cases that will ship progressively.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think we want to put ourselves in a box on timeline, but being that this is something that we're actively interested in on a company basis, I think, 2024 at some point is a fairly reasonable window to say that this is a likely thing. And as you mentioned, you don't have to be a token holder. I mean, potentially, I guess we can always make that decision at another time. But you don't actually need to hold the Embr token to get base payments functionality, like to use anything. Is this a good time to talk about the token? I think probably.
They were meaning because they don't have any token themselves, so they're just a service provider, right? So what they are having, it's like a monthly base fee. They are working and operating on a monthly base fee, and I see this especially with the new wave. If the Web 2 companies come into Web 3, this is a really useful tool because many companies corporate companies are going into subscription model nowadays. Like even my company, for example, that I do work for, we turn most of our products into a subscription model because it works better in terms of revenue, etc. But yeah, I think it will be a really useful tool to have and start working, on for projects, for kind of like agencies that have that payment method.
Oh yeah, the beauty of Matter One is it opens up, or the Ember API more like, is that it opens up all sorts of possibilities for new use cases, in addition to ones that exist both within and outside of DeFi. It's quite powerful when you think about what you can do with this kind of modular and flexible system that kind of brings sort of the best of DeFi into an actual sort of position where it can be applicable to the Web 2 world as well.
100%, 100%. Now, you have all these tools, which are really beneficial for people who want to get into the crypto space, for investors who are in certain projects, and for the ease and for the ease use of transacting into the chain, into the blockchain. Now, what are the benefits when it comes to the Ember investors? Why should someone become an Ember investor?
I'm glad you asked, because this is actually a question I've been waiting to address. So the beauty of the Ember token is, at least when we launched it, is it's zero tax. It's built from the ground up to work wonderfully in all sorts of different functionalities and utilities and angles. So in a way, the Ember token is actually 3 tokens in one in terms of functionality. The Ember token is a governance token. It is a revenue share token, and it is, why am I blanking on the third one? It's revenue share, governance, and utility. So and let me just kind of start one by one, probably with utility. Within the platform that we're building on top of the Ember API, there's going to be countless opportunities for us to provide various direct utilities to Ember token holders, whether it's a potential fee reduction for a specific service, or whether it's paywalled features of a specific sort, or just kind of throwing ideas out there. Because of the way that the token was built, it can be a very unintrusive utility token within the platform that we're building. And that alone is quite powerful because everything is on the blockchain. A lot of it, basically, if you have, we can tell a wallet whether it has Ember tokens in it, and then when that wallet connects to our API or an interface connected to our API, there's various things that we can theoretically add utility to the token right through our platform. That's kind of the utility side of things. We have some interesting ideas that we've already laid out under our white paper. You can access our white paper at whitepaper.matter.one. Matter does not have an E, it's just MATTR. So that's whitepaper.matter.one. You'll find a little tab on the bottom left that says utility token. But in addition, it is a revenue share token. So the specific numbers might get tweaked between now and the time this goes live. But the Ember token, I mentioned earlier, there's a fee on the Ember API and Matter One, etc. Part of that fee will basically go to a reward for Ember token holders, which is a revenue share, which means more volume goes through Matter One and the Ember API. And might I add, you just heard the bajillion of applications and potential uses of Matter One and the Ember API. That's a convincing use case in itself for the token. The revenue share, whether the numbers that are currently on our white paper are exact, and that ends up being the exact numbers we lock in with, or whether they're higher, lower, whatever the case may be, the revenue share will be impressive for a technology like this, where there's really genuine potential to have, I don't even want to speculate, but, I'm sure you can imagine if we hit lots of big service providers in and out of the DeFi space, it could be impressive. So
It's
revenue
scary.
share, yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
is
really
a big reason.
I just want to add
third.
Yep. I want to add before we
Go
jump into third. You've got to remember, in a world where if we get this right, and literally all the on-rampers, or even if some of the bigger on-rampers that we're talking to, they should, of course, take on the API, we're talking millions and millions, straight billions coming into crypto's world that will be going through the API over time. And then we've got money going out, millions and millions and billions of that's going in. Then we've got the any to any that's going around as well. And then we've got potentially things like the Embr card coming where you'll be making transactions. And then the list goes on, NFTs, and we talk about subscription models, that's something we want to do later on. And obviously the e-commerce where big stores, you're talking ridiculous amounts of money that will go through this API. And the revenue share of that 1 to 1.5%, a huge percentage, a very generous percentage will go back to the holders, meaning you could literally earn such good passive income for the rest of your life if you get a good chunky bag. Now, let me just remind you, going into the token, we're only around the 2 million market cap. It is tiny at the moment. The token doesn't actually have to go up in value at all. You could just sit back, even it just hovers around him, and it won't, of course, because it's going to be everywhere in the next 12 months. But if the token, even just for argument's sake, stays where it is, the revenue share is so good that you could just have passive income for the rest of your life, and you'll receive, I think it's USDC, and you can just enjoy a nice, happy life just by that pure reward system. Sorry, Dan.
And no buy-sell tax required, which is another little win there as well. So we're able to maintain the not having a buy, or really it's just a transfer tax. Most tokens, especially people in here who have tokens of their own, it's not, I mean, you can program it to be just buys and sells on certain wallets, but it's basically just a transfer tax, which is a little bit intrusive for payments use cases, right? So in the instance of ours, we're able to give a passive income, or rather, generate passive income for people without having to instill a buy or sell tax on the token. There's also a third item I'll get to in a second, but go ahead.
Yeah, it's kind of like a really good follow-up question from Magnus in the main chat, which can be because especially when it comes to the passive income over there from the revenue share, it comes down to the volume, how much volume Embr will do in the end of the day, in the end of the month. That will determine the passive income for everyone. Which Magnus is asking, like, what kind of protection do you have against competitors copying your technology? Because if someone, especially if it's a big player into the space, like, it's already kind of like well established, maybe not necessarily kind of like of what you are doing, but if they can easily copy your technology, what's the protection over there? So you can still remain into the game.
Now, Jason's the one with the most detail of our defensibility strategies.
I can add some to this before Jason jumps in. So, as you all know, first, the market is very important. We have deals and NDAs with the on-rampers directly as well. So when you talk about competitors, there is no competitors doing this at this moment in time. Now, if a competitor comes along, they will have to have deals with those on-rampers. We have the deals with the on-rampers. So when it comes to competitors, so go on.
So I was going to say as well, there's also service providers in this as well. And there are certain services that we have acquired to make this a reality that are extremely hard to obtain. I wish I could actually say, but there are certain restrictions to us even having this technology functioning that automatically limits the pools of potential competitors. And in order to achieve a true lack of centralized liquidity anywhere along the way, like a centralized exchange, a liquidity provider, etc., you need to go through very specific channels that, again, are extremely difficult to actually get the deals and whatever else that you need to do in order to do it. So theoretically, unless someone also, we have a provisional patent on this technology. Now, that's not an end-all be-all. It's a nice, individual defensibility strategy. However, generally speaking, we own the rights to this technology, and someone would have to find theoretically a completely different way of competing with our performance, right? Like in terms of the end user, a ramp would have to choose between our technology and a competitor technology that does something similar, and is able to say, there's something here that makes me want to move away from Embr. And it's not to say it can't happen. That's a very valid, question. Like, can a competitor arise? Theoretically, sure, but they would have to find another way to do what we achieve, and they would have to have comparable results or some sort of unique selling proposition that really dunks on ours. And at the moment, our unique selling proposition dunks on pretty much everything else that's in this space right now. So, generally speaking, we're very aware of the need for defensibility strategies, for moats, and to just generally be careful. And hence also why there's certain limits to the depth that we can go into, how this all works, and, certain things we can and can't talk about. But generally speaking, yeah, it's always possible for a competitor to pop up. But in terms of what have we done, we've done about everything we can to, provide ourselves a good positioning for this, to bring this to market. And if a competitor comes, game on. It's the nature of business. So
yeah, 100%. And it seems like from what you mentioned there, you have kind of like again the first movers advantage. You already have done your connection and networking over there, and have signed. You have your paperwork ready, and you're good to go. In terms of volume, what volume do you have as of now, guys?
the Matter, the
Matter
API.
Yeah, so Matter one's in beta at the moment with the on-rampers. So until that's out of beta, it hasn't actually been released yet. So once we get feedback from the number of on-rampers, unfortunately I can't mention them due to NDAs. Once we've got their feedback and anything tweaks they want to do, once it will be a Matter one for the on-rampers for card to token in wallet in one flow will be out at the end of this year.
Yeah, and I think it's also, worth mentioning that, the volume is, probably something that we won't divulge too heavily until this is actually on the market. I wouldn't expect too much in the way of beta, volume to begin with, because naturally you're talking about businesses with millions of dollars on the line. There's going to be sort of some steps, to truly getting integrated at the level where we'll really have anything in the way of impressive volume. And, I could be wrong, but generally speaking, for a beta, I wouldn't expect too much in the way of volume metrics. But, I don't think we'll be opposed to that potentially down the road. I could be wrong, but at least at this time, we can't really dive too much deeper into the volume.
And again, volume, I get this all the time. What are your expected forecasts? What do you think you're going to do? It's such a ridiculous question, because every time you onboard an on-ramp, it's a different ballgame. You literally can, that on-ramp could do millions a day. That the next on-ramp might only do 20,000 a day. The next on-ramp, if it's a simplex, can do up to millions and millions and millions a day.
I wasn't referring to forecast, but as of now, like for example, I know you cannot predict, and there are so many factors that could change the numbers over. It's like again, if we will have the bigger adoption that everyone is talking about, if yes, then just get ready, just fasten your seatbelts.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? It's fasten your seatbelts. Yeah, it is. It's like 100%. Get on the train. If you're not on the train, it's going to go 1,000 miles an hour once it's released. If you're not on the train of the token, you're nowhere. And unfortunately, you're in a space where you're listening to a project. And if you're just come into this chat, I do apologize. You missed one hell of an AMA. You're listening to a project that has literally fixed and got the perfect infrastructure to go from card to token and wallet out, and e-commerce and all this stuff can go on again. but it's so well positioned when it goes out into the wild, it is going to be wild. It's going to be crazy, the volume and the revenue share. And if you're not on the token now at 2 million market cap, you're going to be grabbing it at a ridiculous rate later down the line. Fine. But if you're looking for a token and you've got all these projects that come into your AMAs, I'm not dissing them or anything like that, but they're all normally around the same sort of thing. We're building an exchange, we're building a swap, we're building NFTs, we're building a metaverse, we're doing this, we're doing that. They're all the same. This is fixing crypto. This is the payment gateway of the future. And because we're talking with the biggest players, the biggest on-ramps, the biggest dexes, the biggest card merchants, the biggest of everything, they are all, every time we have a meeting with these people, and that's the hardest thing, getting the meetings. Once we're in those meetings, Jason and I, their mouths hit the floor there, because the potential for these on-ramps, for these card providers, for anyone is insane. And lower fees, more assets to be listed, instant assets to be listed, projects as well. They have instant payments. They have any-to-any payments. It is endless. And it's just making everything in crypto flawless.
Can I just add one more thing as well? I want to touch on the third function of the Embr token. You may have mentioned me talk earlier about the clearing protocol and how essential it is to this whole system working and really being able to be a trusted system to handle these payments. Part of that clearing protocol, or rather the parameters and the maintenance and of the protocol, will actually be governed by two bodies. And basically, let me back up a little bit. The third item, the token is a governance token. So in addition to being a revenue share token and a utility token, it's also a governance token. So the token holders basically have the ability to vote on members of the governing committee, who will then basically oversee the security and performance of Matter One across various different aspects. And this also means that if a governing committee member is not doing their job correctly or people want to change, they also have the power to basically oust that governing committee member and replace them with a new one. It basically adds a more decentralized approach to how a clearance should work. So it also allows flexibility over time for this protocol to be able to adapt with the times. And it also adds an additional utility to the Matter One protocol, to the Embr token. So we're actually, I think, in the relative sense, pretty close to being able to dive a little bit deeper into governance, how it's going to work, etc. If you go to help.embr.org, it's help.embr.org, you'll see there's a section of our help center dedicated to governance resources. We actually have quite a bit of this drafted out already, what it's going to look like. We're going to be using the Snapshot platform and progressively transitioning to on-chain governance over time. At least that is the plan at this time, barring anything, unforeseen. And the idea is, not only does it give an extra function to the token, but it's kind of important because it incentivizes people to hold the token. So let's say you're a developer, you use the Embr API, there's something you want to fix, hold the Embr token. You get a say in the direction of the Matter One protocol. So it adds another additional layer of sort of trustlessness to the Matter One protocol, while also adding a function to the Embr token.
That's pretty exciting. I mean, lots of benefits when it comes to the token holders and investors over there, especially with the passive income. But Jason, sorry to cut you off there.
Yeah, I just want to sort of lay the foundation for the bigger picture around governance. I think there's so much we can say in a small AMA, but safe to say that we've been basically working on that part for over a year right now, and the way it's going to unfold in ways that it's really truly going to surprise a lot of people. And I'm going to give you a couple examples as to because we tend to say, like, what's the incentive of holding, the Embr token for an investor? I think the question needs to be much broader than this, in the sense that sort of what's the point of being part of this, from a bottom up type of perspective. And if you read sort of our main hero value proposition on our website, when we say payments infrastructure for the next internet, if you think of the current payments infrastructure that we have for the current internet, it's all not only governed from the top, but also, like, think about all the various people, merchants, infrastructure, consumers, etc., that participate in this current payment infrastructure, that have not only no say into it from an inclusivity perspective, in the sense that who can be part of this payment system, but also, like, as users can benefit from it, beyond just its features and benefits. So with that in mind, the question you can ask yourself, who doesn't have an incentive of being part of this infrastructure? Like, almost no one. If you think of every single participant of this new payments infrastructure, they all have, in their unique and various ways, an incentive of being part of it, either being from a voice perspective, either being from like a kickback perspective, either from a providing liquidity perspective. But all of this to say is the mechanism that we are going to market with this. And I'll give you one example of, like, a way you can bring this to market that basically rarely, and I mean, I haven't seen it before, but think of it as a membership type of approach. And this is where we go back to sort of the recurring payment subscription and all those sorts of things. Think about, like, various tiers of being part of this payment infrastructure, whereas some of the tiers will give you specific discounts. Some of them will give you, kickbacks, different tiers of kickbacks, etc. But all this is done through the Embr token. From a retail, trader perspective, when you go on Peachy, if you hold X amount, then you might get a discount on the trading cost. I mean, the utility of this is infinite. And the ideas that we are bringing to market for this is going to be completely insane. It's not just like this one thing or two things or three things. It's really like there will be essentially go-to-market strategies for various angles for this token. And membership is just one of them. Advertising and informing all of the different members that are part of this payment system as to what they can do, what they, if they increase their tier, or this is going to be pretty exciting. I mean, there's a lot of things on the roadmap, and obviously we can't, hype it up too much, because that's not the point. But we are excited about basically, again, I've said it before, but inverting the power dynamics. And when you invert and change the power dynamics, you shift behaviors, you change industries. And that's our goal here. We're playing the infinite game. We're looking to be here for the next 100 years, if not more. So sometimes this is why things may seem like we're working slowly, but there are a lot of things to consider when you want to build, the payments infrastructure for the next internet. It's pretty complicated.
Jason, honestly, when it comes to such projects, at least for me, as an investor, I really want to see the team keep kind of like building, right? When it comes to the chart, etc., I don't mind that much. The chart and the reflection of the work of the development of the tools that you guys are building will will show once things kind of like keep unpacking and keep kind of like rolling. Once you will onboard one of the big, you will start kind of like bringing on and the big players, which they will start using your tools, right? People will notice it by themselves. So, at least, and I don't know if it's only me, but yeah, when it comes to the token price and, people buying or if they want to buy right now or not, it doesn't really matter as long as you guys keep building over there. Yeah, they will come on board one way or another.
Yeah, our KPIs are really going to be driven by, utility, in the sense that, what's in it for you to have an interaction, whether it's from holding or from using or, various different ways. But, for us, that's the driving factors. Like there needs to be not only a utility for it, but an increased utility. It can't stay stagnant. So it's about diversification. It's about improving those utilities and those experiences, and really making sure that it's at the heart of everything that we do. But it took time, and it's still not out there yet. But utility will find its way progressively in the various products that we have into market in the next, obviously, 6, 12, 24 months and onwards.
And remember, at the end of the day, the Embr token is essentially 3 tokens in one, in that it has governance utility, well, potential utility in our platform as well, and it's also a revenue share token. So if one of those functions doesn't, particularly intrigue you, good thing there's 2 more. Over time, especially as a lot of these things really find their traction and start gaining traction, again, it'll be apparent. It'll be an absolute slam dunk of a token, in the way that, there's something in here for everyone. There are things that should intrigue retail users. There are things that could intrigue institutional investors. When you're talking about governance and you're talking about potential revenue share and whatever else. So the beauty of what is coming for the token is that there really is something for everyone. And it's not just like, promises of deliveries. There will be tangible things you can do with your token and tangible reasons why you should be holding your token.
Right on. And I can see some excitement on the chart. Definitely over there, from what they've been hearing on this AMA. No, again, we have had you guys for quite a long time, around. Benjamin. Yeah, he's most of the time hearing our voices, and he will be bringing from time to time updates of what Embr is doing, what's being building, what you guys been building over there. And yeah, it has been a continuous growth, especially since our last AMA, non-stop growth over there. Lots of developments and new products and making them better. So I'm really excited. Looking forward to see the big deals that you have under the table once you bring them on top of the table, so everyone can see. Kind of like, their investment growing, because this will bring for sure some exposure when it comes to the chart, and people will get excited. Again, it's definitely, and it's been pointed out that it's a long-term project. It's not like any pump or dumps or whatever. They are building tools that can stay on the space, that everyone can use down the road, especially when it comes to the new one. I think that's the key. It will be kind of like a major milestone for you guys once the big onboarding starts kind of like taking place. Yeah, I think it's gonna be really good for you, and for all the tools that you have built.
Sorry, I just wanted to jump in real quick. Something I forgot to mention earlier. I was going to interrupt Ben, but he was on a roll, so I didn't want to do it. So one of the things about the API is that it abstracts chain, gas and wallet considerations. And speaking to the wallet specifically, when you use the Embr API, you'll be able to build a wallet on the spot. Has anyone here interacted with FriendTech? I mean, I don't expect like an actual answer. Is kind of like, rhetorical here. Basically, we're going to be using the really nice fancy wallet technology called Privy in our stack. So that means that people will get access to like top of the line wallets that will also have social logins to be able to, well, again, simplify the process of using and keeping your assets safe in your wallet. So yeah, really cool stuff. Just kind of like a little added bonus there. We're still using Wallet Connect and Trust and MetaMask and whatever else, but soon you'll start seeing a little update to the wallet that is being used in our stack, and it is going to be beautiful. It's the stuff that the top players in the space want to use right now.
Have you thought of having and building your own wallet?
The answer is no. I think ultimately we can't do everything, and leveraging people that do this every single day is the right way forward. Actually, we're going to be leveraging multiple different providers with regards to wallets, but yeah, Privy is definitely one of the big ones from a B2C perspective. When it comes to backend infrastructure, when we onboard ramps, we need to set up floats, and we're going to be leveraging Circle's non-custodial MPC wallets. It's a pretty advanced stack that we're putting together. Yeah.
Really nice. Yeah, and I mean, again, there's so much going on here, with Embr, and you guys keep building. So definitely we'll have you back. And just a reminder for if anyone in here has a project, you're a project owner, just reach out to Benjamin and Dan and see if you can kind of like integrate any of their tools within your website, so you can make it make kind of like the process of buying easy for your investors over there. And there is another question in the main chat. So how do we claim revenue share when that is live? Will be stake our Embr or anything else? How will that work with a revenue share?
So the exact details on this we can't share, but essentially the way it's gonna probably be done is through batch distribution, and it's going to be scheduled as well. But I think one of the big things that we haven't talked about, which is probably going to be the core of what we're going to be working on next year, is our sort of staking protocol. It's going to be a new staking protocol for providing liquidity to the whole Matter One protocol. And with that, that's going to be sort of the major, component of so there's going to be multiple ways. What I'm trying to say is that there's going to be multiple ways of getting revenue share, and most of it is going to be batch driven and schedule driven, based on various different variables and metrics. You're not going to need to go somewhere and to claim those or anything like that. It's going to be done automatically.
Okay, and the kind of like protocol over there, next year, right? 2024, you mentioned.
Yeah, because we haven't really dove into how it works. We've been speaking about what it does. And we could do a couple hours on also, how it works. But one of the key components of why we're able to do what we're able to do is because we have this on-chain, what we call sort of this unified liquidity layer that is USDC enabled. So these are on-chain smart contract that we call anchors. They're effectively, treasuries. And they hold USDC, and they're meant to basically always be ready to go and execute transactions. And that's how we can do real time pretty much everything. It's because we've created this infrastructure that lets us at any given moment execute on-chain transactions. And we can even execute them in parallel, meaning that if one transaction has begun on one chain, we can start initiating the other one on the destination chain. So we can capture payment and settle payments at the same time, rather than most protocols right now. They're waiting for full on-chain finality. They have relayers, Oracle watchers on both sides of the chains, which effectively, I mean, ultimately is a good infrastructure, but from a DeFi or blockchain trilemma perspective, it compromises scalability and speed over decentralization. That's why our system, we went sort of the Chainlink way, which is trust minimized, and making sure that, everything that's happening on chain is actually fully decentralized. But there are moving parts that are various degrees of decentralization, and where we focus on speed and scalability in the context of payments. So yeah, expect a lot of, foundational infrastructure things that will be launched next year. But from a very sort of simple way of answering, whoever is holding Embr won't need to do anything for the rewards.
Sounds really exciting. And yeah, when it comes to the staking part of it and the whole protocol, actually, it's not something that will happen within the next few weeks. So yeah, definitely, again, we'll have you back. We have Benjamin on a daily basis here. So, and yeah, we'll be in touch so we can go in depth and how things will work out there. But great AMA. I mean, great job, guys. Great development milestones that you have achieved with Embr Labs. Is there anything from your side? And I'm checking as well the main chat, and Dan and some of the rest of the community members of Embr have done an amazing job answering the questions. But is there anything else from your side that we kind of like didn't touch? I know there are a lot of things going on, but kind of like major things that we didn't touch and are worth mentioning.
One thing that I can say, I know there's been rumors, but we can share this with you guys because, we have a great relationship with your team, and you've given us so much airtime and direct access to, your brilliant community. But I can basically say that we are working on a new podcast series, and it's going to be launching, in the next couple of weeks. And we have a very, very juicy lineup of guests that are going to be part of this new podcast series. It's going to be called Surfin' Web3. So this is really an exclusive announcement that we're given here. And we have artworks being worked on. It's going to be pretty big. And we're really excited about this. We've put the whole podcast thing on hiatus for almost the better part of a year and a half. But we're excited to dive back into it. I mean, we've been so busy in the back end and, trying to stay focused. But now that a lot of the key components and the partners as well, most specifically that we've been working with for so long, we want to give them a voice and a spotlight and talk about what they're working on and how does it pertains to, making payments better in DeFi, and how are they bringing value into the space, and, what's the relationship between us and them? What have we been working on? And so that's going to be really exciting. And I think just as the first two seasons that we did in the first year, I think it'll be a very good way for us to bring back transparency with regards to what's happening behind the scene. And that's something that not necessarily that we've neglected, but we've been doing in a way that, might not be as efficient as sort of long form podcasts where we dive into all of these things. We've been sharing, project updates in a written format, but I think this pod will give and shine a lot of light on all the last year plus work we've done in the background with various partners. So I'm really excited about this. So yeah.
That sounds amazing. And please, Dan and Benjamin, make sure once these podcasts are ready to go, you share it with our group that we have set up there, and we'll make sure to post in our main chat, because with all these podcasts, and this is what we keep saying to everyone, like, join any voice chat, like Twitter Spaces, etc. podcast. There is so much, so many things that you can learn, so much value on these podcasts, and it's a learning process, especially when it comes to crypto. We are still so early, and there are so many things that need to be shared around. So yeah, really excited for that, and seems like because there will be some time that you will have to commit to do this podcast. So yeah, really looking forward for these ones. And
Aaron as well, just another note, yourself is obviously very important to us, that your community, if you guys know any project, or you're a motivated project, or you're very involved in a project, please get them to get one of these free checkouts on their website. Once V3 gets released in literally a few weeks, they will automatically get upgraded to the card to token in wallet in one flow. So again, every project that comes into your space, please get them to reach out to us. We'll give them a free checkout, and yeah, they will have that instant payment on their website.
Thank you, Ben. And yeah, for sure, if I'm scrolling through the list, I can see some of you. So yeah, reach out to Ben, guys. Check actually the website. It's pinned in here, and you can have a look yourself. It's pretty straightforward. I think it takes like literally a few seconds, if not minutes. But yeah, and if you have any questions, anything that you're facing, any issues, reach out to the team over there. Amazing. I will pass it back to you. I don't know, Jason, maybe if you want to give us like, a closing statement, and a call to action for everyone who is on this AMA and will listen later on to this recording.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to go, Ben? Or?
Yeah, I've never said this before, I don't think ever in 2 years of working for Jason, but I just want to say thank you to Jason, because without him, this would have never come to cryptocurrency. Instant payments will not be here next year. Bridging will hopefully be wiped out next year. Multi-chain could be wiped out next year. All this innovation of working for a company that is changing or making a dent in crypto is it's so rewarding to be a part of. It's like, I'm not part of an NFT, I'm not part of a metaverse, I'm not part of something that's just could potentially die. This is going to be around while crypto's around, and it's the first step to changing cryptocurrency, and I'm very proud to be a part of that. So actually, for the first time in my life, I think I want to say thank you to Jason.
All right. Well, thank you. I mean, closing statement. I think we've said what we wanted to say. I think there's a bunch of closing statement that I've done, Dan has done, and Ben has done throughout the AMA. But I think broadly speaking, the motivations that are driving us to build this is really from a very deep why. Why should we build this, and why is it important? and the answers, are wide and deep. But I think the most important ones are like what we have right now. I think isn't really working. I mean, it's working from a functional perspective. I mean, it gets it gets things done. But from an inclusivity and a participation and having, all of these various components in it, I think it's failing at a bunch of things. Now we don't pretend to want to tackle everything, but the parts that we're focusing on, I think we want to do it in a very elegant and sophisticated way, where each time we think about bringing something to market, it has to go through so many steps, from legal, from admin, and making sure that whatever we bring to market is going to be sustainable and is also going to scale. So, I mean, ultimately, I think the final thing I can say is more sort of from a philosophy perspective, that whatever we're working on, we're thinking really, really long, and not necessarily that we want to be first to market, but whatever we'll bring out there is going to be solid and has been, will have been well thought through. Yeah, maybe that's the last thing I can add. But to Ben's comment, I think it's really rewarding to have a whole team, and I think, I kid you not, pretty much the whole team, has been around from day one, and even prior to day one. We've been working, together prior, and it's just a testament of like how exciting this whole thing that we're working on is, and it's motivating, and to feel like it has a broad impact, and will potentially at some point when we think big internally, when we have sort of our weekly meetings, the use cases are pretty mind-boggling. They're pretty insane. So again, going back on like baby steps, but where we're aiming to go, I think that's where everybody gets really excited about. And I'm sure if we brought each and every team member, starting with myself and co-founders and head of this, head of that, and community and mods, they will all have basically their own reasons why they're excited about what we're working on. So for me, it's very rewarding as well to work with passionate and people that are committed to the why more than to the what and the how. And then we just figure out the how and the what, but ultimately we are driven by the why.
Yeah, 100%. And you know what? Team is so important. It can add so much value to what a project, what a company is building. If you don't have a well-structured, well-bonded kind of like a team, I think it's really difficult to achieve. You might achieve it, right? But it will take you way longer. Team is key, 100%. I don't think that anyone kind of like disagrees with that. And seems like when it comes to your team over there, Jason, when it comes to the community as well, and we can see it here in our main chat, yeah, you are on the right path there. You are on the right path. You have the support that you need. Everyone has a passion for the project. Either it's on the team, either it's a community as an investor, and they will keep. Seems like they keep supporting you. So that's kind of like a really nice push for the core team to keep building and keep working on delivering what's on the roadmap. So really excited for Embr. Keep an eye on them. Again, as Benjamin was saying earlier, check their website, for the checkout. If you have any issues, any questions, or anything like that, join their Telegram, ask questions over there, and just keep an eye on their Telegram, on their announcements. And yeah, thanks everyone for joining. Benjamin, Jason, Dan. Another great AMA, guys, and yeah, looking forward to what 2024 will bring to Embr. Really excited for you guys.
Appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thanks again.
Thanks, everyone.
Right on. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. That was the Embr Labs AMA. Again, make sure you join their Telegram, all their socials over there. Stay up to date, with their announcements and developments, milestones, stuff. And yeah, great AMA once again. All